Now we're going to look at making something a little bit more complex. And what I want to do is I want you to make a dice, or a die, a singular, and we're going to go a 6-sided die. So to start with, you could do this a few ways. You could sketch the two-dimensional box and then extrude it into a cube, or I could just jump straight to making a box. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, there's lots of different ways to do things in Fusion, and that's what I really like about it, is because there's often shortcuts, but you can get creative on how you can create something that you don't know how to do a shortcut for. So in my case, I'm going to make a box. While we're on a two-dimensional shape using a box tool, if I know I want, say, a 50mm by 50mm, so 5cm by 5cm box, I can type 50 here, and if I use the tab button, it switches between dimensions. So I've typed 50, I type 50, and then I press enter. I've got my box. Because I'm using a box, which is a 3-dimensional feature, it's automatically jumping to that extrude step. So it's now saying, how high do you want the box to be? And in this case, because I'm making a cube, I make it 50, hit enter, I now have my cube. From here, this is where you can personalize. So you can either have a perfectly square cube, or you could fillet the edges. So if I click each corner as I go around, I can create smoothed edges on it. I could chamfer them if I wanted to, and do exactly the same thing with the chamfer tool. Click all the edges, create a chamfer. With that as well, if I want to do every single side, I would recommend you pick every side first, just to make it a bit cleaner, because it'll compensate for that. So I'll show you what that looks like. If I select all of my sides, you saw what it looked like before. Now if I chamfer, I'm going to get, if I fillet, I get a really nice sort of smooth cube. So you can do that however you want. You can chamfer, fillet, keep it square. The next step is to put the numbers on it. And you can do this however you want. You can either write the individual number, or you can do the dots like you would on a typical dice. So I'm going to use the sketch tool and look at the top face. And now my challenge for you is to do this, or find a way to do this however you want. I'm going to give you one suggestion for the one face, for both the circle and a letter, but I want you to maybe think about how else could you do this if you want to personalize it. I want something in the dead center. So I'm going to create a circle, and SketchUp has the two advantages. If I track along a line, a triangle appears, and the triangle is telling me that is the center point. So now, as I track along, every time I touch the center, it'll tell me. And if I go down, it'll get to a point where both blue lines pop up. That's telling me that is the dead center of this inner square. So I can do it that way. If I wanted a different length, say I wanted a circle here, often what I would do is I use my line tool and go, how far is this? That's 40 centimeters. So 20 will be dead center. I can now go to 10, and I'll go down 10. And that's going to be sort of the quarter corner here. So if I wanted to make 4 dots, that's one way I can do it. Now when I create my circle, I center it on there, and I've got a circle there. So you can do that using your line tool to measure lengths in there, and then create a circle from it. So now if I wanted to extrude, generally because of how dice work, you want it to go inwards. So I'm just going to go 1mm. I've got my cut tool, which I want. Press enter. I've got a nice little indent there. If you were going to do letters, go back to my sketch tool, text, let's highlight over here, and you might write 3. I've got it centered. I'll maybe make it as big as I can and still fitting within. Happy with that. You can change fonts if you want to, make it really fancy. Finish sketch, click the 3, and either drag, or I can use a negative number because it's going inwards. I can say negative 2mm, cut. Now I've got the 3 on my dice, and I can pan it around and view my dice. So that's the first project I want you to do. After you've done the nameplate, I want you to create a 6-sided dice and customize it however you see fit. So that's the first task.